Hey guys, IT Ops guy. Well, the plan has changed a couple times. I just don't have enough resources on this box to be able to run everything that I want to run. And I was also running out of disk space. I created it way too low. So you can see that now I've got a SWO2, a SolarWinds O2. Most of the rest of the environment is turned off with the exception of my domain controller. So I am going to run SQL on this SolarWinds box. It's not the way that you would do it in a production environment, but since this is just a test, we can go ahead and get set up in that manner. The first thing I need to do though is get the file over on this box. And so I'm just going to create a folder called share, and then I'm going to go ahead and share that folder. So let's come up here and we will give it even to guess, and we'll say read write. And we're only doing this just to share that one file, and then we'll remove it. So then on my machine, I should be able to go SWO2 like that, and hopefully it will ask me for a username and password. Oh, actually, before we do that, I'll need to go in here and set up the secondary network adapter and connect it to the default switch. Now we'll be able to do that. And let's make sure we can. All right, so we can ping that box. Well, we're getting timeouts, but we at least know about that box now. There we go. And so if we go test domain administrator with our super secret password, we should be able to see the share. All right, and there's the share. And now let's just open up a second instance of this, grab the installer. So let's copy it and let's paste it here. I need to get used to using the tabs. Microsoft did it. I've been wanting it for a long time. It's there, and I still don't use them because it's a habit to do it the old way. Okay, so we've got the file in our virtual machine. Let's go ahead and remove access, and we'll stop sharing altogether. Last thing we need to do on this server though, since it's fresh, I've got it all configured. Okay, now we can add roles. We'll add the web server role. That'll install IIS for us. And we should be good to go. All right, so we got IIS installed. We should actually be able to come down here and go IIS, just like that. And looks like we've got our default website. And if we browse to it, let's see what we get. Should be, there you go, just the blank IIS webpage. All right, so let's go in here and let's try once again to install SolarWinds. The installer takes a little bit to start, but it is an online installer. So you do have to be connected to the internet. So let's just double check that. So think about it here for a second. There we go. All right, so we do have the internet. So let's get this installer up and running. As I mentioned, we are not going to be using a separate SQL server. I know that plan's changed. I wanted to show it to you. I just don't have enough resources to do it. Looks like it installed a C++ redistributable. Installer is still going. All right, it looks like it's popping up here for us. The one thing that I like about this new Solarwinds installer is it really does a good job of getting the prerequisites out of the way. So we're doing a standard, not scalability. We're going to accept the license yet again. We are going to use SQL Express, and we're just going to leave this alone for now. And it's running all the diagnostics. It says I don't have a ton of RAM. I do have a reboot that's pending, but it gives me the install button. So let's go ahead and run the installer. And this is going to take a little bit, so we'll just let it go. All right, looks like the installation was successful. And now we're going through the configuration process. So let's let it just keep chugging along. All right, my installer is just about to finish up, but I am creating a group policy. First one to start WinRM, the other one to enable some WinRM ports. So 5985 and 5986. So we've got those. Let's see. A group policy just to enable some Windows remote management, open up some firewall ports. It was just easier to do it in group policy than to do it on each individual machine. So I'm doing a GP update / force in order to ensure that that policy gets applied. You can see everything was applied successfully. And it looks like Solarwinds is now done. And so we should be able to click finish. Looks like everything should be up and running. And let's see how we add a machine. All right, so here is Solarwinds. The first thing we're greeted with is to create a password. We're going to use the exact same password we've been using all along. So let's do that. And let's log in. You got to remember that, again, this box is a small box, not a ton of CPU, not a ton of memory. So we're waiting a little bit. You know, we got to pay on the back end for not giving it the resources, and one way to do that is with our time. Unfortunately, you know, Solarwinds needs a little bit more resources than we can give it. And so we are utilizing this box. You can see 95% of its available memory. And so it's just working. CPU is actually not too bad. Kind of, you know, going between 30 and 60%. All right, and so now we've got the discovery wizard that pops up. So we can start adding our devices. Now we only have one virtual machine that's actually running, and that is our domain controller. So let's just have it scan the entire 192.168.0 subnet. So we're going to do 192.168.0.0/24 like that, and it will scan the entire subnet. So let's go next. We don't have any virtualization, so let's go next. We know that there's no agents currently installed, except for the Solarwinds box has its own agent installed. So we currently do have one node available. So we can just ignore this. Now I created an SNMP string called Orion. So let's delete this and delete this. And let's add a new credential. And let's call it Orion. That was in my group policy, was to create an SNMP string. For Windows credential, let's use Solarwinds.service. That's the service account that we created. So the account will be test domain solarwinds.service, and then our super duper secret password. And let's add that credential. And let's say when it does find something, we would prefer WMI. WMI is Windows Management Instrumentation. That is what we want to use. We do want to include devices and nodes that respond to a ping only. And we'll manually set everything up after it's done. Now, again, this is just the initial discovery, and we only have 2 boxes running, the domain controller and the SolarWinds server itself. In fact, why don't we fire up this guy? Do I have enough? Do I have 1 gig of memory remaining that I could give to this guy? No, I sure don't. Okay. Well, can we give it, let's give it 512. Can we run Windows Server on 0.5 gig? I mean, even so, we might not even be able to start that up. Let's see. Oh, it's gonna, no, it's not gonna start. All right, well, so much fun. Let's go, not the domain controller. Let's go to our SolarWinds box. Let's rename this just so we know what it is. It's the initial discovery. And let's say next. And we're only going to do this one time. So let's click discover. Now we do have this super cool status, but we don't have to sit here and watch this thing. So what we can do is just say, well, run in the background, right? And let's start looking at some of the options, some of the things that we have. So this is the home page. Not a ton here. And in fact, since this is just NPM, you know, what we might want to look at is also installing things like APM. And that way we can look at applications as well. So we are going to do that and install a couple of other modules here. So let's go over to updates. Yeah, we currently only have NPM installed. You can see that at the bottom here of the screen. If we zoom in, right, NPM is the only product that we have. So we want to evaluate new products on demand using the license manager page. So let's go over there. All right, that was pretty simple actually. It just added SAM for us, and so we've got it there. So we should be able to go get that in just a little bit. We can see a couple of nodes starting to pop in. This is grouped by vendor. Here's an event summary. Applications. Let's go and look at Active Directory. So we don't have any application set up just yet. Let's scan a node for an application. So my SolarWinds test box is running like molasses on a cold winter's day. It is slow as could be. We just simply don't have the resources available to make this demo awesome. And so that's going to drive me a little bit crazy. I think we're going to need some additional horsepower because my little laptop isn't cutting it. Maybe we'll find a different way